NPCs in the Dark Souls series often have tragic stories. These people are nearly always on the verge of losing themselves, and most often do, either going mad seeking magic and knowledge or losing the self-confidence that once made them human. Every time it's for a different reason, but the ending is usually the same: death, insanity, or hollowing. It's hard to find and keep purpose and the will to live in the dying world of Dark Souls after all, and I think Dark Souls 2 and 3 make this clear. Both of these games tell really tragic mini-stories using NPCs. Even though Dark Souls 2 has really good NPC stories, my personal favorite for NPC quests is Dark Souls 3. Out of the 24 interactable NPCs, not including faction leaders that don't have any dialogue in the base game of Dark Souls 3, only 13 of them have their own quest lines, and if you complete all of their quests, only 4 survive by the end of them. And out of those who survive, only 2 have what could be called happy endings. The fate the rest 9 of them suffer is the same: death or hollowing. In this video I want to go over some of these questlines in depth that don't have these good endings. Leaving Firelink Shrine after killing Gundyr and making your way all the way to the undead settlement, you find a knight hailing from the distant lands of Karim. If you've done little to no exploring, this is likely the first person you'll meet: Eygon of Karim. He sits right next to a small entrance that leads to a locked door, but behind the locked door you can see a woman, wearing white robes that are usually worn by traveling women. Going back outside to speak to Eygon.
Another one of those unkindled, are you? All you faceless undead, behaving as if you deserved respect. Now you're poking around in people's cells. How very noble. Taken an interest in her, have you? Well, she's a lost cause. Couldn't even become a firekeeper.
You don't really need to have a degree in anthropology to discern that he is not very nice to both Unkindled Ash and the woman he is supposed to be guarding. Eygon also seems very pessimistic, immediately telling you that the woman inside of the cell is a lost cause because she couldn't become a firekeeper. But I doubt that it's very easy to not be pessimistic in the decaying country of Lothric. To rescue the woman inside the cell, you have to make your way back to the dilapidated bridge bonfire and past these rats where there is a locked door that you can unlock with a key. The dark tunnels beneath the settlement are filled with skeletons of long dead warriors and rats. Fighting through all of these enemies, you'll eventually reach the cell of the failed firekeeper where she asks you to touch her.
So please, hold out your hand and touch me. Ah, yes, there you are. So close, indeed.
Since she doesn't immediately recognize that you are not Eygon, we can understand that she's blind. Talking to her once again, she reveals that her name is Irina of Karim, and if you allow her to enter your service, she will swear to serve you.
I, Irina of Karim, solemnly swear to serve you.
Before going to Firelink Shrine. From here onwards, Irina becomes your main miracle merchant for the rest of the game, so progressing the questline up to this point is necessary if you want to play as a cleric or obtain all of the achievements in Dark Souls 3. And trust me, you don't want to do that. Please don't do that to yourself. It's strange that Irina was placed in such an unmissable location, but people like Cornix and Orbeck were placed in such missable areas. Irina settles in a room to the right of Andre the Blacksmith, over here. However, Eygon only pops up once in Firelink Shrine where he just insults everyone before leaving again. But even though it appears like he has left, Eygon is still near, watching as you bring Irina Braille miracle tomes for her to learn more stories. Miracles in the Dark Souls universe are cast by having faith and believing in stories from eons past using talismans as a sort of medium. Most of these stories are about the old gods of Lordran such as Guinevere, some are about great wars, but some others are about horrifying events. Events so cruel that they should have been forgotten and not even turned into miracles. Stories about darkness itself. These dark stories gnaw away at their readers, which is something experienced sages like Carla can repel. But if the reader is an inexperienced cleric such as Irina, well, it makes them go mad. If you don't give any of these dark tomes to Irina, she will have what could be called a bittersweet ending, where she actually manages to become a firekeeper and Eygon dies by himself in Irina's old cell, having lost all purpose. However, if you buy a single one of these dark miracles from her, Irina's mind will break under the horrifying stories of these dark tomes, and she will be taken away by Eygon to protect her.
I made myself very clear. My allegiance remained only as long as you assured the girl's safety. This Knight of Karim does not forgive betrayal. Even a broken woman deserves her dignity.
It is here that you realize that Eygon truly cared for Irina, and I believe he is one of the most realistic characters FromSoft has ever written. Yes, he is an asshole, but imagine that you are a knight in a decaying and dying world and you're tasked with guarding a woman who will supposedly become a firekeeper, only to see that she has failed in her only task. I highly doubt that anyone would be extremely happy. Some people might have even deserted Irina after seeing that she would have never become a firekeeper, but Eygon is truly loyal. Despite not seeming like it, he watches over Irina, and the moment you do something to harm her, he intervenes. Even as he dies, he thinks of Irina.
Irina. This bastard.
After killing Eygon, Irina will appear where he once stood, and talking to her, she is clearly losing her mind from reading the dark tomes we gave her. She asks you to touch her again, but she doesn't even recognize your touch. Unless you're wearing Eygon's gauntlets. If you touch Irina while wearing Eygon's gauntlets...
You again. Touch me one last time. And kill me, as you promised you would.
Eygon was presumably supposed to kill Irina if she ever failed in her quest of becoming a true firekeeper. However, he didn't. The worst thing he did was keeping Irina in a cell for her own safety, but what you did, giving Irina those dark tomes, is arguably a lot worse than anything Eygon has ever done. If you kill Irina, she will finally be freed from the torment of darkness, but if you let her live, she will continue suffering. This is one of the darkest questlines FromSoft has ever made in my opinion, and one of my personal favorites. A less dark but still pretty dark questline would be the journey of Anri and Horace. This storyline is extremely complex, with multiple branching paths that lead to 3 different possible endings for Anri. Also, Anri's gender changes depending on your character, but I will go with female Anri. You first meet Anri after making your way through a lot of Corvians and stumbling into Halfway Fortress. Here, Anri sits alongside Horace.
Oh, hello. How do you do? I am Anri of Astora, unkindled like you. This is Horace, a friend and travelling companion. Are you too in search of the Lords of Cinder? We are well along the road of sacrifices. Below us is the Crucifixion Woods. Beyond the flooded woods lies Firelink Keep, home of the Undead Legion. Further yet is the Cathedral of the Deep. We seek the cathedral, home of the grim Aldrich.
Anri is one of the friendliest NPCs in the game alongside Siegward and Greyrat. Some people act friendly only to achieve their dark and twisted goals, but Anri is genuinely friendly. She and Horace are on their way to the Cathedral of the Deep to find Aldrich, one of the 4 revived Lords of Cinder. You have no way of knowing why they are trying to find Aldrich, but reading the description of Horace's armor, it says that Horace is one of only 2 children to escape Aldrich's clutches. Assuming the other child is Anri, it gives us insight on why they are after Aldrich. They want to exact revenge, although we know from other questlines all throughout the history of Dark Souls that actions only fueled by strong emotions such as anger or the need for revenge often lead to terrible outcomes. Going all the way through the Cathedral of the Deep, you see that even though his tomb is here, Aldrich himself is not. The only thing inside the tomb is a small doll, which is something Anri also seems to discover. Since once we see her and Horace back in Firelink Shrine, she says that
We reached the Cathedral of the Deep, but Aldrich's coffin was empty. The man-eater must have left for his true home. The little doll in the empty coffin told me. Aldrich is said to hail from Irithyll in the Boreal Valley, an ancient fabled city.
the doll in Aldrich's coffin, the one in the cathedral, told them about Irithyll, so they are heading there. The next encounter after the one at Firelink Shrine with Anri isn't the best, however. You meet her again in the catacombs of Karthus, where she and Horace have been separated. It is up to you to find Horace. The quest will progress up to a certain point regardless, but cutting down the bridge and descending down to Smoldering Lake, you are able to find Horace. All hollowed now. This was probably the reason why Horace didn't speak a word and was called hushed. Either that or it was because of Aldrich. Undead that are near hollowing are often not mad entirely, but they slowly lose certain aspects of themselves until they hollow. At least that is my understanding of hollowing. Horace seems to have been on the very end of the rope keeping him tethered to sanity, but once he gets separated from his only friend by falling off the bridge leading to Wolnir, he dies for the last time and loses his mind. Telling Anri where Horace is without killing Horace will cause Anri to get killed, so there is only one way to keep Anri safe, and that is to dispose of Horace. Fully hollowed undead cannot be reversed. Going back to Anri, you can choose whether you want to tell her about Horace's location or not. Even though not telling her might be better for her, it's cruel. Anri deserves to know where her friend was. Going back to the place where you killed Horace after telling Anri, you can find a shrine. Anri has made a shrine for Horace, containing his shield from Drangleic and halberd. Progressing to Irithyll, you meet Anri again inside the church. Here she sounds much more somber and depressed.
Oh, I thought it might be you. Good to see you. I never managed to find Horace, but my duty must be done, even alone, as an unkindled Lord Seeker. For the children I knew, bless their souls. We all have our reasons, don't we?
Where she was once optimistic about her journey ahead when you first met her and happy, she has lost her only true friend, and it's a miracle she hasn't given up. We know that undead can sometimes give up due to hardship, but it seems like Anri still has her goal set, to vanquish Aldrich, because she very likely didn't want revenge just because of what Aldrich did to her and Horace. From her dialogue we can understand that a bunch of other unnamed children were consumed and tortured by Aldrich. So even though Horace is long gone, she still has the death of countless innocent children motivating her. But her story can go a different way from here. If you've been helping Yuri of Londor in order to usurp the fire instead of linking it, a pilgrim will kidnap Anri, and you can marry her. But that ends the quest prematurely. So killing the pilgrim and moving forwards, we can help Anri finally kill Aldrich, ending her journey. Going back to Firelink Shrine, you can now transpose the soul of Aldrich by speaking to Ludlif.
Ah, well met. That at last returned. Know'st thou the name Anri of Astora? The brave girl left this as thanks.
He gives you Anri's sword.
Though gave no elucidation. So, happened upon any twisted souls? Now, heed this little warning from this little lord. Seek not the girl. She knoweth her fate, what will become of her upon her duty's end. She would not wish thee follow her.
Everyone knows what happens to undead who have completed or lost their purpose and meaning in life. All undead will one day go hollow after all. It is a fate you cannot avoid, no matter what. Running all the way to where you encountered Horace and Anri has hollowed. She has completed her purpose, slaying Aldrich, and with nothing left she has left her sword for you at Firelink Shrine as a way of saying thanks. And returned here to where her friend once died. Now, the only thing we can do is to end her suffering. There is another NPC questline that has made many players shed many tears. The Onion Knight of Katarina, Siegward. Siegward, just like another Knight of Katarina from Dark Souls 1, brings some joy to the cruel universe of Dark Souls. You first meet him after meeting Eygon, where he is in a bit of a pickle.
Oh. Pardon me, I was absorbed in thought. I am Siegward of Katarina. To be honest, I'm in a bit of a pickle. Have you ever walked near a white birch only to be struck by a great arrow? Well, if I'm not mistaken, they come from this tower. But I have to find a way up.
His armor reflects his personality, just like his likely ancestor Siegmeyer. It's round and uniform, unlike the jagged and ruined armor sets of Dark Souls 3. Its round design reflects his friendly and jolly personality. Once you actually go down, Siegward is able to solve the secret of the elevator. The secret is that there are actually 2 elevators. When you went down, another one descended from above, which Siegward had no way of knowing when he was alone. Going up, you hear Siegward again. Jumping off the ledge midway up and landing on a wooden platform, you see Siegward, sitting on a ledge and looking at a fire demon. Siegward has likely taken upon the duty of defeating this demon because it might hurt someone else if left unchecked. Siegward is a good soul after all, and unlike most undead.
No! You should have waited! Well, it's too late now. I, Siegward of the Knights of Katarina, fight by your side.
Defeating the demon, Siegward sits down, tired of all the fighting, and drinks.
To your valor, my sword, and our victory together. Long may the sun shine!
He says all of this before falling asleep. Siegward is the closest thing to a comic relief character this game has, as everyone else is just searching for purpose or painfully dying. Siegward is this jolly, likely because he already knows his purpose and has come here to fulfill it. He isn't searching for meaning or on the verge of losing it like others. He also gives you a Siegbrau, which in German means victory brew. The next time we see Siegward, he is in a bizarre place to say the least. Just outside the entrance of the Cathedral of the Deep, there's a small well, and inside this small well, we find Siegward.
Oh, I know that voice. Just how long has it been? It's me, Siegward of Katarina. I'm loath to admit it, but I've been had. Someone's swiped my armor. Did you happen to see it anywhere?
Someone has stolen his armor and left him in this well. Going deeper into the Cathedral of the Deep, we find Siegward again. Or is it Siegward?
Well, you look reasonably sane. I am a Knight of Katarina. I've managed to track down this cathedral's store of treasure. It's right over there, across that narrow part.
Siegward didn't really seem like the type of guy to go after treasure, but sure, if he says that there is treasure, there probably is. Oh, you bastard. The person who pushed Siegward into the well was none other than Patches. Unbreakable Patches. He probably told Siegward that there was some Siegbrau in the well and then kicked them in. Going all the way around to the other side and meeting Patches again, you can buy the Katarina set off of him. Giving the Katarina set back to its rightful owner results in Siegward thanking you and saying,
With my trusty suit of armor, I'll be out of here in a jiffy.
Climbing out of the well, Siegward makes his way to Irithel of the Boreal Valley's kitchen, where we see him next. He's cooking some Esther soup, but he mentioned something incredibly important here.
Have you heard? Somewhere, hidden right here in Irithel, is a deep dungeon. And even below that, the profaned capital, home of Yhorm, the reclusive giant lord. That reminds me, I've a grave promise to keep.
A promise? A promise to the reclusive lord of the profaned capital, Yhorm the Giant? If it is indeed a promise to Yhorm, we can guess where Siegward is going to head next. Far below Irithyll lies Irithyll Dungeon, a place where everyone opposing the tyrant, the Pontiff Sullivan, was imprisoned. And even further down, at the bottom of the dungeon, lies the Profaned Capital. It is very likely that the Profaned Capital isn't actually supposed to be here, but since the world is dying, everything has slowly begun merging with each other. Izalith and Ash Lake have merged to form the Smoldering Lake, and Orlando has merged with Irithyll, and the Profaned Capital has slowly been dragged to where it is now, right under Irithyll Dungeon. Siegward ventures into the dangerous dungeon to find Yhorm and ends up trapped in a jail cell right next to the Profaned Capital. Going all the way back to the sewers of the dungeon, you can find the key for the cell. Freeing Siegward allows him to join you in the Yhorm fight.
Yhorm, old friend. I, Siegward of the Knights of Catarina, have come to uphold my promise. Let the sun shine upon this Lord of Cinder.
Siegward's promise to Yhorm was to kill him if he ever failed in his duty. A long time ago, when Yhorm was ruling over the capital, he was hated by his people, for he is a giant. The only person that was actually willing to be friendly with him was Siegward of Catarina. Yhorm, before leaving to link the First Flame, gave his only friend Siegward a sword, the Storm Ruler, a type of sword known for being able to kill giants. Alongside the sword, he made Siegward promise to kill him if he ever failed in his task of linking the flame. So, who knows how many centuries and millennia later, seeing that his friend had refused to link the flame, Siegward returned to fulfill his promise. Killing Yhorm and fulfilling his promise, he sits down for a final toast.
It seems I am in your debt once again. My thanks. I could have not kept my promise without you. Now, for a final toast. To your valor, and my old friend Yhorm. Long may the sun shine.
As soon as you turn to leave, Siegward dies, having fulfilled his purpose. The promise he had made to Yhorm was the only thing keeping him alive. A promise to kill an old friend if he ever faltered in his duty. These were the 3 stories of 3 undead in the world of Lothric. I really love Dark Souls 3's side stories, and these were just 3. I didn't even include NPCs like Cirrus, Orbeck and Greyrat. If you'd like to see Hawkwood's story, I've already made a video, not entirely about Hawkwood, but it also includes his story, and it will be in the description. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. Goodbye.